disagree on some, not all, interpretations of what is the chosen people, because we have to be very cautious here not to come with the narrow understanding of this from some specific Jewish traditions or Jewish trends. But I would say here that, yes, it's the way to God, it's the way to be close to God. Now, as to the very essence of the teachings, as to the very essence and the way this is understood, we understand that the cycle of the prophetic traditions coming to the world were to confirm and to rectify what we think was wrong. And this is why Christianity came after Judaism, and Islam is coming at the end. But if it's to confirm is that there is something in the essence, in Ahl al-Kitab, the people of the book, which is right, which is a way to be close to God. And we have it in the Quran that you will find among the Christian, for example, priests that are full of modesty, and you will find people who are having a dogmatic mindset coming from all the traditions. So I would say yes to this question is something which is important. And add to this even what Ustaz Hamidullah, Professor Hamidullah was saying when he was talking about Buddhism, for example. When I was with Tibetans in India, in Dharamsala, when I met the Dalai Lama, they are not acknowledging the one God, but there is something which is here based on spirituality and ethics. And I would say that this is a way to help the human beings to liberate themselves from their ego. I would say there is the lack of transcendence, but it's the way to come close to this moral expectation. And Hamidullah was saying it may be that at the beginning it was also a revelation which was connected to transcendence, then was lost into history. So I would say no definitive judgment on this, because these are ways also to come close to the one.
We'll have one last question.
Am I too long in my answer? This is what you are.
Thank you. Two more. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
And be brief. These will be the last two questions, please.
Farid Asak from the University of Johannesburg. You took an interesting turn in your last response when you also referred to the Dalai Lama and the Buddhists. So earlier on in much of your talk you had suggested, along the lines that many other speakers here have suggested, that there is this leeway, certainly in Islam, for the Ahl al-Kitab, and then of course it varies whether the Sabi'in are amongst them or the Zoroastrians are among them, but it is generally accepted that the Christians and the Jews are among them. When we go to the Buddhists, you seem to then say the ethical basis, that there is a moral principle that they adhere to, and therefore this, I think you try to suggest, qualifies them also for salvation. What about if we extend this to beyond the people of the book? Take, for example, the Aymara people in Latin America. Is your principle then reduced to simply people that have an ethical basis to their actions? And if that is the case, are we not really saying that there is really no belief basis for salvation, that it is entirely how people behave and whether they have ethical moorings or not, and all of this then subjected to our very subjective understandings of what ethical moorings are? Thank you very much.
Do you want me to respond now or to wait for the other question?
Is it related?
Up to him.
Go ahead, please voice it.
Assalamu alaikum, Tariq. This is Muqtadar Khan from University of Delaware. In the light of 548, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if I wanted, I could have created you all as one ummah, but I choose to give you different laws and different minhaj so that you may compete with each other in doing good. Put that with this suggestion that God sent a prophet to every people so that he could speak to them in their own language. And this idea, I mean, you keep saying that, and all of us do that, that Christianity came after Judaism, as if Judaism was terminated, and then Christianity came. And then Islam came after Christianity. What happened that they all came at different times. Judaism came, Christianity came, Islam came, and they are still here. So in the light of 548, the idea that there are different prophets for different people who spoke to them in different languages, and the fact that at least there are these three existing concurrent monotheistic traditions which have so much in common, is it possible for us to at least philosophically concede that there are many paths to God endorsed by Islam and Quran? That there are, in the present tense, that there are today many pathways to God which are endorsed by God.
Okay. So let me come to the first from Professor Isaac in what he was saying. There are two things which are quite important. If we speak from within a religious tradition, there are teachings and there are principles. And this is something that is quite important. It's quite clear when you come to the very essence of Islam, that the acknowledgement that there is a creator is something which is important, because salvation here is something which has to do with to be saved by whom, to be elected by whom, to be close to whom, to the one God. So it's quite clear that in anything which is coming to, or which is related to the outside world, so to speak, and other philosophies or spiritualities or religions, it has to do with transcendence, which is the presence of the one God. And then there is a second dimension, which is the one God who is full of mercy, has also is also calling humanity, and he's calling humanity through ethics and morality. There are things to be done and there are things to avoid. Why? Because your humanity, it's coming out of your spiritual education. You come close to the Rabb, which here is, who is the educator, through your education, which is your tarbiyah, your education. So when you have this set of principles and values, it's quite clear that the relationship with others and the way you look at salvation has to do with ethics and transcendence. What is going to be the reality for the people who are not acknowledging any transcendence or do not have a specific ethics? Is it a subjective way that we can accept this? I wouldn't say this. I wouldn't say that my respect towards the other is by saying that all the doors of my tradition are open to any subjective take. I would say that this is not going to work for the great majority of the faithful people within a religious tradition. I would prefer not, in order to respect the other, not to say, oh, it's subjective. No, it's to say, I am following rules. I am following a spiritual teaching. I have principles, but these principles are telling me these are for you, and as for the other, suspend your judgment. Allahu A'lam. And if they are here and they are not like you, is to help you to be better. The way you have to be with others is to respect who they are and try to be better as to your behavior. It's a mind which is open in fastabikul khairat, compete in good deeds. So do not, in order to be open-minded, make anything relative or subjective, because there are norms, there are objective norms. And this is why, for example, I understand what is said by Christian priests and theologians and rabbis and Buddhists when they come with something which is a clear understanding of their religion with principles, but they are not closing the door by saying, we are right, you are wrong, but we are right, and what you are may be right, but what you give me, you help me to be, is better myself. Let your difference be something which is helping us to be better. I would prefer to have this take than to say it's all subjective. And let me say one final word on what Professor